Welcome to Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis. This week I had Joshua McCaulla and David Gavin come in to talk to me about their consulting company, Let's Empower Together. Their business card says LET provides study abroad and career consultation services, but as you'll hear in the conversation, they're trying to do so much more than that. Finding your way in life can be hard, and they're looking to bring a new perspective to the way we approach studying abroad, career development, and basically life in general.
Well, I'll start off. My name is Josh McCullough. I am the president and CEO of Let's Empower Together, better known as LET.
Okay, I'm David Gavin. I'm the education manager for LET, Let's Empower Together. I've been living here in Taipei, Taiwan for about the past 6 years.
So I went onto your website and I checked out your mission statement and your vision. So to give everybody who's listening a sense of this. So your mission is to facilitate solutions of societal and cultural challenges and provide an innovative approach to young people in creating a positivity and success-driven mindset through personal, educational, and career developments. And your vision is to inspire by influencing and connecting people to their purpose and facilitating the process with methods and systems to thrive in all areas of life. So can you explain kind of how you came about this, what inspired you maybe to start Let's Empower Together and all that?
Sure. Well, first off, we're a consulting company. I didn't mention that. And what our goals and what our mission is, you just said it, laid it out perfectly, is that we want to support people and be of service. And that's kind of what inspires me. About 5 years ago, I went through a personal development leadership program that really kind of supported my belief of creating a major impact in the world. And what that led to is remembering my university days and dealing with international students coming from overseas, whether it be Taiwanese, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, that were coming to the University of Missouri. I was going to school there, and I was working with the Asian American organization called AAA, AAA, it's Asian American Association. And what we did is we created an opportunity with them to collaborate with them to help bring them some comfortability, because that was one of the biggest challenges for them, is what I talked to them about, is their confidence level with their English really set uncomfortability to where they weren't able to assimilate more effectively. So what we did is we created a program of orientation. Every time a new semester would come along, students would come in, and the international students, and we would help support them by making like a booklet of like the local businesses and whatnot, and also like what the best things to do in town and things like that. And what that really supported them with is being comfortable when they got to the States, and so that they could really lead to a more assimilation to their life and be able to experience culture in the States. So that really brought me back to that. And to start LET, that was kind of the big thing for me, is like finding out and interviewing and talking to people that are here, students, professors, family members, friends, to find out what the biggest challenges were for international students. And that's a big thing, is their confidence level. And so I wanted to start something that really would support that, and in every facet, like in university preparation, preparing them for school and whatnot. So I think that's one huge thing. And cultural transition is another one of our services. We can get into that in a minute, though. That's a big thing for preparation for students, is to be really comfortable before they leave. So I saw that was huge for them, and that's what inspired me really to start Let's Empower Together.
Do you want to add to that?
Yeah. So just one of the other problems that we see with this happening is that there are a lot of local schools that are sending students abroad from Taiwan, and there's really only a handful of schools in the Taipei area or in Taiwan in general that are kind of like really preparing students for this experience when they go abroad. And those are like the expat schools. Basically, the expat community here these days is quite small, so those schools essentially meet their needs. And then most of the demand for international education has continued to increase in Taiwan, but it's not coming from expats, so those schools aren't really growing. So it's really growing more in terms of local schools. And, I just have to be perfectly honest and say that most of those schools are not adequately preparing students from Taiwan for their experience when they go abroad to university.
How are they failing their students?
just that, most from what I've seen and heard about most of these schools, they're still doing everything. The education system is still very local. They might have some foreign teachers. I mean, there might be some bilingual programs. But yeah, it's still pretty much everything is done in a very local way, and it doesn't get students prepared for the experiences that they're going to have when they go to university compared to, some of the international schools in the Taipei area.
Okay, so what are some of the ways that they should be preparing their students for this transition?
I was actually going to add on to that, if you don't mind, real quick. I was going to say that, it's a systemic issue here, and it's nothing, no judgment. It's an acceptance of it. It's a notice of, what's actually been going on based on the research that I've been, talking to students and professors and finding out like what the challenges are for the educational system, and it's based in the exam-oriented system that it is, and comparatively to the West, and how there's no really comprehension or critical thinking or asking why am I learning this? What is, asking why questions, if you will. And what happens is when they become taught answers and regurgitating those answers, basically it's just saying, you're right, and I'm just listening, I'm following along to what that is. And the consequences, whether they be intended or unintended, come out to be a lot of comparison in their lives of like who they are compared to their classmates, because they're actually ranked. If you're familiar with the school system, they're ranked at a young age. When they're like 7 years old, they're already, getting grades in class and being compared to their classmates. They're getting compared to their friends, and it's a traditional mindset or traditional thinking. So that leads all the way up to the junior high level, that they're comparing themselves to their classmates, to their expectations of their grades, to be number one in their class, and then on the wall they see 1 through 30, and they're number 2. Even if they're number 2, that's still not number 1. So that creates a mindset of I'm not enough, and what that also gets to is that kind of lowers their confidence or their self-esteem. Getting into their junior high school, they're testing into the next level, basically from junior high into high school, the high school into college, and it goes to that same mindset as if you're not getting into the best schools, your family, you kind of get looked down upon. You look down upon yourself, so you have a sense of shame. And what that really does for someone is it lessens their ability to look and see what the future is, what's possible, and less motivation, less hope, if you will. So with that said, like I said, that's not intended. I'm positive that it's not. So it's an unintended consequence to the system. And so by noticing that, we want to bring solutions to those challenges, such as positive and success mindset, starting off with that, and then supporting students with their study abroad aspirations, what that could bring to them as far as their career goals, their career aspirations.
Okay, so what is a positive and successful mindset? If you're dealing with all these issues,
Sure.
Within this culture, how do you kind of change that?
I think it's goal-oriented. So setting goals and having success in them, like noticing your success. Because I ask, one of my biggest questions is, do you know that was, tell me a success that you had today, or a win for today, or a win for as a goal, and I get a lot of blank stares. Like, what do you mean a win? Or or success for it's like they have to think really hard about where their goals were, what their goals are, because goals are laid out for them. Go to school, get your grade A, and go to the best school, and then your test results will lead you to the career that you'll have, versus what your passion or purpose is underneath all that. So positive and success mindset, putting that into perspective, is what is your purpose? What are you here to do? What is your dream? What's your goals? Like that's personal, within you, not instead of laid out and said, this is who you are, and like I said, there's no criticizing or judgmental aspect to that. It's a systemic issue, and it's something that can be transformed if wanted, and if open and willing to, think of what's possible. Does that answer your question?
It does, yeah. But I guess the underlying thing, though, is
Sure.
if you do adopt this different perspective, having a goal mindset, and keeping in mind the wins that you have per day, right? Because that kind of, does that take you away from, I guess, your fellow classmates and everything? Does that make you different? How likely are young people willing to do that?
That's kind of an ego thing, right? So our ego plays two roles. Our ego says two things to us, right? If you're not familiar, it's like, I'm right, and keep me safe. So do things to keep me safe and make sure that I'm right. So keeping me safe, going to that notion, is that stay in your comfort zone. don't expand your comfort box. Don't take any risks, because what happens when you risk, basically you're going against fear. So that's kind of what a keep me safe, like a survivalist mindset is, which is good. There's nothing wrong with a survivalist mindset, though at the same time that also plays against you taking risk on your goals and your dreams on what you want. Going to answer the question about does it make them different? Well, yeah, I would think that it does, though. Doesn't different create the life that you want? Yeah. If you stay the same and you just stay the same lifestyle as everybody else, you're probably going to end up with the same results as that have happened in the last decade, century, what have you, in the traditional mindset, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and in this case, difference is a good thing. It's for the better. Right?
Yeah. I'm not going to say better because that's a judgment. I think it's more effective.
Mm-hmm. More effective. Okay.
More effective, yeah.
So what are some of the steps that you guys are taking? Like, what are some of the, I guess, services you were going to provide for students and all that stuff? And I guess really get into maybe like the process, like walk me through that.
Sure. Our goals and our services is to support students through the success and positive mindset that we've been talking about, creating goals, sitting down with students and finding out where they're at educationally, and also in mind of where they want to go. What do you want in your life and what's stopping you? So
how's that received? I mean, that first initial step.
That first
step. I feel like it's got to be really hard
to
get them to talk about that.
I don't think it's hard, because that'll be like something that I combat with. It's not hard if you don't think it's hard. I think it's about creating space for the students and for the people that I talk to. I think that's a big thing for me, is like creating space of like, I'm here to listen. I'm here to understand, where you're at, and I'm here to accept where you're at. And if I don't come from that space, if I come from a combative or judgmental space, the students will have that reaction that you're talking about. The response I get is that, oh, he's willing to listen. He wants to know where I'm at, like cares about where I'm at. And I think that's a big step towards building our relationship, because it's all about that, building the relationship with the student and their parents. Actually, that's kind of the next. Actually, not next. That's almost even more important than with the student, because the student is, they're wanting to share, though it's like almost getting the quote unquote approval of the parents of like, oh, okay, I say that you care about us and you want to support us. So moving on from that initial conversation of, I'm here for you. I want to know where you're at and where you want to go. It goes to, from that space, what their wants and needs are based on that, their university, if they're wanting to study abroad. And from their results of like their test scores and what have they taken, if they've taken like the SAT or the TOEFL or the IELTS or what have you, kind of setting up, asking them questions about what's going to prepare them most effectively to get where they want to go. So you want to go overseas? Do you know what you want to go to school for? Asking simple questions to kind of, get their interest in where their passions are, where their skills are, because again, I want to stay away from what they told their skills are. So from that place, the university preparation is kind of our biggest, what we want to support students with, biggest service that we want to support students with, as well as culturally, like transitioning to the university and to the city that they're going to. So if they don't know, anything about, say, Boston,
right,
just to kind of pull off from you, then it would be wise for us to have information for them and to advise them and consult them about the city, everything from the transportation to the banks to the, even like most importantly is how they learn in the West, how we learn in the West, differences of like their way of growing up and learning to the way the Western style of educational system is.
Kind of preparing them for the culture shock that's going to happen.
Pretty much, yeah. Because that's, again, going back to when you feel comfortable, moving forward, it gives you that opportunity to even kind of expand that comfort zone when you get to where you're going, right? To when they get to Boston, they would be more comfortable in their setting. Maybe they don't just reach out to the Taiwanese Student Association. Maybe they, reach out to other American associations, or maybe they just make more American friends because they're more comfortable in their English, their confidence level. So I think that's kind of the biggest point of helping them prepare this way with the cultural transition, culture shock training, university preparation, and then also supporting them with tools, strategies, and techniques to really support their student life. Like what would help them stand out, like building a brand for them. Like, okay, so you're going to school. What exactly is going to help you stand out for the career that you want? So helping them with tools like that would support their, having internships, having experience, because that goes against the grain again what they're taught here in Taiwan is like, if you get good grades, you have a good GPA, you have great test scores, you get to the best college, you're going to get a great job. Hopefully, that's the mission. That's kind of the traditional thinking. So that's quite different in the Western world, right? Your grades do matter, yes, of course. Your tests do matter, though at the same time, your experience matters probably the same, or if not most, in most cases. Did you want to add on to that?
Yeah. Sure. So just one of the things that we help students prepare with when we're going through the initial steps and process is to find out what kind of extracurricular activities they might be a part of, if they've had a chance to volunteer, just anything that can kind of help them set themselves apart when they're going through the application process. It's not just about the practicalities like test scores and GPA, but also finding out what are the exact things that are going to help them stand apart when they're going through the application process.
Leadership roles. Go ahead. I apologize.
Yeah, stuff like that. And we even take some time to try to find out what their exposure level is to kind of like foreign culture. Like, part of our process even includes asking them what type of media that they typically consume, and if that's something in English or if that's primarily in Chinese. Because one of the main things that I've found is that when people are trying to absorb English, or students here who are trying to absorb English have very much an academic approach towards it. They just look at it, okay, this is an assignment, this is something I have to do it right, and I have to get a good grade. But what's really kind of a more natural way is just to just find something that you enjoy, whether it's a TV show, a radio show on ICRT.
Well done.
Or it could be anything NPR. It could be, as I've already said, TV shows,
like Netflix, like movies.
or even just going on news websites, going on Google News, and there's a bottomless pit of English news articles to read from a variety of sources.
Sports,
sports, anything. So just. From my experience, I studied abroad in Latin America, and I actually spent when I wasn't studying, I would actually spend quite a lot of time watching television, and it was just kind of a good way for me to passively absorb some language and just kind of not going in there looking for something particular, but just kind of discovering something a little bit more naturally, because it kind of takes you back to that. Being a child, when you're absorbing your first language, you spend a lot of time just kind of, listening, observing, and then figuring it out. And it kind of puts you more in that sort of stage. I would watch like children's cartoons and stuff, and I have some roommates here who are learning Chinese. They do the same thing. They're watching like Cartoon Network. And, they're just kind of like, picking up kind of whatever they can. So I've noticed that, students in Taiwan don't really have that sort of approach or mentality towards, reading a news article because they want to read it, or watching a show because they enjoy it, and just trying to, pick something out. The approach is just a little too academic usually towards English.
So you really just tailor your service to each individual student to the best of your ability.
Exactly. I mean, then there's, to add on to it, to finish up with the last couple of services that we offer is postgraduate support. Like what it is to support them moving forward. Like, okay, we supported you through this process, given tools, and then maybe some students we have that are graduate students that are only going to go to school for maybe a master's degree or a year and a half, 2 years, and they need support with interview coaching, resume coaching, things that would support their things that would support them moving forward into their career. What would, again, help them set them apart from their peers, if you will, and colleagues. And then another one is financial support, like finding out ways to support them financially, whether it be through financial grants, scholarships, real estate ventures for their family if they're interested in it, if they're interested in kind of recouping their investment from their schools from their child's education, being able to invest in real estate in the West, in the United States or Canada or where have you. So that's kind of something that would support them because of the stabilized real estate industry. Yeah.
Okay, so so you do help the kids, and then through college, postgraduate, and everything. But have you noticed like an impact on the parents and stuff? Like kind of rub off on them or anything? The change of mindset?
Yeah, I like how you say that, because this one client that we have right now, she is so unique in the fact that she's very open and willing, and like it's a notice that her mindset is just so different than what I'm used to as far as traditional thinking versus like kind of like the modern, open, wanting to change and grow mindset. And she's just taking in all the information that I've kind of shared with her son to heart. That she even told me the other day, she's like, after our first or second meeting, I just started noticing a shift in my thinking of like what's possible and her dreams, and not thinking that things are limited in her being like, oh, okay, well, I've went to school, I've worked this long, and I'm this age, so I'm not able to grow and change and evolve. She's able to see like, oh, there are more things, there's more opportunities for me as well. And it just was great to hear, and I was grateful to hear from her that, just in that moment that she shared with me, that she's has that mindset shift as well, or shifted mindset.
Yeah, so I've been working on a master's degree in education, and through one of the courses that I've taken, one of the things I learned about was what Josh was just talking about, is something called growth mindset versus fixed mindset. So this is something in modern education. We're trying to cultivate students having more of the growth mindset rather than the fixed mindset.
Could you explain what those mindsets are?
Yeah,
quick?
Sure. It's kind of like what Josh has talked about already, but it's just a little more precise term that's used in educational classes and in the education of education these days. All right, so fixed mindset would be more of the traditional mindset that Josh has spoken of already, meaning that, okay, so, I'm smart or I'm dumb, okay, and you don't have any room to grow either way. And even a lot of students, they've done studies on this, students who get told that they're smart when they're at a young age, once they come across something that challenges them, they basically have a much better chance of giving up, because they're like, well, I'm smart and this is really challenging, but it's too hard. I can't fix myself. This thing is just too hard, so I give up. Right? The growth mindset is more about telling kids to say, oh, look, you worked really hard, and that's why you were able to get this good grade or to learn this new concept, so that they have, through work, that they are able to grow themselves instead of just being, a fixed mindset, whether they think they're smart or dumb. Growth mindset means they can grow through work and effort.
Okay.
Yeah. That's great. Like staying in the box, if you will. Instead of staying in a box, they're able to kind of expand their box and their comfort zone, for sure.
Yeah, nice. Exactly. Yeah, getting outside that and just, through work and effort, just growing.
I do want to say something too. What was brought up to my attention too that we hadn't mentioned is something that sets us apart from our competition, and I kind of saw it. I wanted to share that there's recruiting agents that are out and about right now. That's a big industry. The university recruiting agents. They hold university fairs, and I've attended 2 this past spring. And what's really unique about them is that they really do want to support the children, but it's kind of in a different context or a different way. What they do is they actually represent, between 5 to 20 schools, depending on how large their recruiting agency is. And what ends up happening is they'll sit down at a booth and they'll, recruit students over, talk to them, and they, kind of lead them to the schools that they actually represent, right? And what happens, and what it does is a disservice to the students. You say, well, these, what's your GPA, what's your exam scores, and what have you? What skills are you in? And they say, oh, civil engineering or something, and they, oh, great, we have a school for that. And that's the one school that they offer. They say, well, this is the best school that you can go to. They're not really saying this is the best school that we only offer. They say that this is the best school. And what that does in injustice is that it doesn't give them the wide variety of options that are out there for the students. So, whether it be, across the United States or in Canada or where have you, it just says this is limitations, if you will. It puts limitations on what they have to offer. And then on top of that, recruiting agencies do a great job of like supporting students and their test grades, or, up-leveling their English ability, as well as, maybe helping them fill out applications, going through the admission process. But where it kind of stops the support is like when they get enrolled, whenever they get admitted. Because they do represent the universities, the university actually pay them a commission, if you will, or compensate them for their efforts. So when they meet their quota, what have you, they're like, okay, well, you're admitted now. Yeah. We don't, not that we don't want to support you. It's just they need to move on to the next student. It's like an unintended consequence of that system, right? We help support you. We get you to the school, and then now you and your family have to kind of fend for your own, or kind of prepare your own way that you can to get to the school and what have you. So what makes us different is that we want to go even further than that. We want to take it to the point where we're supporting you all the way throughout, giving you tools, techniques, and strategies to help you in school and after school, so that you're well prepared for the career that you desire, the career that you deserve, to have a successful life.
Right, and also outside of school with everyday life things, with adjusting towards living in a different culture and different environment.
Yeah. The cultural transition that, I definitely during my research, I noticed that kind of the university recruiting agents actually don't really support that aspect, as well as supporting the knowledge. Again, they're attempting just to get the students into school, which is great, supporting them. Though, like I said, it kind of does them a little disservice without getting them prepared through their mindset, through their cultural transition, and also helping them get set up overseas as well.
And how about the visa process? I know that's like a hard process to navigate. Do you guys support them in that regard as well?
I would say what we do is we consult them to talk to the right people. We have certain referral systems that we have for visas. Unfortunately, the government has a nice little regulatory to what you can and cannot say as far as visas. So what we do is we use referral business, and we direct them in the right way. So that's our consulting on the visa process, so that they get the right information, the most effective information that will support them. Though understandably, the universities actually have a great system of being able to support the students. Of once they get accepted, they want to they're going to get paid from the students, or they're going to go to school there. They're going to help them get their visa, get their I-20, get their 94, and get everything taken care of, and their F1 visas as well. So the university do a great job of supporting in that aspect.
Okay, but how about like postgraduate? If you're one of your clients wants to stay and work in the country?
I think that's a great question right there, because there's several different opportunities. There's several visas. Again, we would definitely rely on a referral network. H-1B is a great one. There's E-5. There's investment. If they want to be an entrepreneur after they graduate, that's a great opportunity for them too. Because let's face it, most of the students that go overseas, kind of their families have a little bit of money, though they also can invest in the U.S. and invest in a business and hiring employees. As well as H-1B visas that would support them in getting jobs. So there's definitely a network of resources that we have at our capacity.
Okay. So what are some future goals you guys have for the company, short term and long term?
I would say short term right now is just continue reaching out to students of the target age that we're reaching out to, which is high schoolers, from the ages of 16 all the way up to graduate students of college. So we want to help support all this age range from 16 to 21, 22, if you will, and even young professionals. I mean, we want to get into that field as well. Young professionals that want to have a career abroad. So helping them stand out, and again, with positive and success mindset, because that's sometimes a big thing for young professionals, is that they don't see the possibility of even going overseas or having a different career, or having a career abroad that most likely have a different salary number than what they're used to. They're like, the first answer I get when I ask that question is, it's so difficult. The process would be so difficult. And when you think something's difficult, guess what it's going to be?
Difficult.
Yeah. And if you think something is more is a growing opportunity and there is a possibility of it, what are you going to think? That it's possible, right? So it's kind of overcoming that mindset too for young professionals. So we want to get into that kind of field to support young professionals to have careers abroad. As far as future goals, I see us expanding. I see us expanding into possibly China. That's definitely one thing that I would like to do. This impact I see it as being a global impact. It's not just, helping students here in Taiwan. That's just, obviously we want to support the people that are here and the students that are here first, and then move forward, because that's all about business, right? Too, you have to think about the business mindset as well as of expansion.
Yeah, and some other areas we'd be looking to expand into is just trying to help younger students maybe through elementary and middle school, either get accepted to boarding schools abroad, if that's what the families are looking to have them do, or to, there's even possibilities. A former coworker of mine had her daughter move to the United States by herself for a couple years before attending university. She was still in high school, and she moved. She lived with the host family, and then just attended a local high school in California, even getting a part-time job. So, that's a huge change for a student from Taiwan to take on something like that, especially to essentially be on their own like that. So, trying to help families who have goals like that to move their students abroad, even while they're still in middle school, high school, whether that's boarding school or having them live with a host family, even trying to get students who want to attend, some of those international schools that I mentioned earlier, helping them prepare for the exam, and everything else that will get them prepared for entry into those schools. And we're also possibly even thinking about helping helping people participate in working holiday arrangements in other countries, because I think you mentioned to me before that there's some possibility for some kind of like exploitation or something to happen. They could end up working, on a farm in Australia, and it's just like the experience from hell. But it's supposed to be this amazing experience.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I actually have a friend of mine that's went to Australia for a working holiday. She ended up working in a farm. Well, she was able to make a better salary working in that farm than what she was doing here in Taiwan, which is kind of crazy to think, though. That was her experience, and her experience, she didn't really like the experience, though at the same time she liked her bank account when she came back.
A big thank you to Joshua and David for coming on the show to talk to me about their consulting company, LET, in a world that's shifting more and more towards self-improvement, self-care, self-awareness. It's good to see a company strive to instill those values and mindsets through the education sector. And that's it for this week's Taiwan Talk. I'm Alex Lewis.